Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Untitled Game Channel. I'm AJ Gels. Guys, it's time again for the weekly show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Obviously, I'm going with the same format that I went with last week. I actually really like this format. I don't have to worry about being on camera. I can show you guys the articles and all this. God, I'm sorry. I'm saying a lot. This is what I get. I do not plan these intros. They just kind of come out. Either way, damn it, I did it again. We're going to be looking at the Shadow of War gameplay announcement that went out on March 8th. And other than that, we'll just be going through the news and other general stuff. Real quick, I want to say sorry that I'm late today. I've overslept this morning. That's just kind of how it is. It's first day of my spring break and all that. So, either way, let's move on. The Nintendo Switch... what is the article? The Nintendo Switch is Nintendo's fastest selling console ever in the Americas, Europe, and Australia. It even outperforming the Wii. Eddie Makuch, GameSpot. Now, the original article. The Nintendo Switch is off to a hot start. It seems Nintendo of America President Reggie Fils-Aime told the New York Times reporter Nick Wingfield this week that initial sales for March 3rd and 4th in the Americas exceeded the first two-day sales in the region for any system in the company's history. The next closest was the Wii, which ended up being a massive hit, selling more than 100 million systems worldwide to date. See, right here, I think this is maybe a false equivalency. Not saying that the Switch won't do what the Wii did. I think the Wii had such a massive such a mass market appeal. The Wii sold itself really well to the young and the elderly. Nothing against the young and the elderly. It's just, it sold very well outside of the core gaming demographic. While I think the Nintendo Switch is a much more, is a system much more for the core gaming demographic. You know, it's for gamers. I don't think it's necessarily for as many people as the Wii was. So I think the Wii will still end up beating the Switch out entirely, but I if you followed my channel long enough, you know I've been saying that the Switch isn't going to do well. At least in the long run. I make no promises how it's going to do now, and we're a week out, or 8 days past the initial release, so all I can say is, good job to Nintendo. They're doing well at the moment, so I'm still not going to admit that I was wrong until further down the road. Alright. Phil-Aime added that Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is the best-selling standalone launch title for a Nintendo platform ever. He did not share a specific unit sales number, though it outperformed Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64 Wii Sports. For the Wii, surely did better than the Super Mario 64 or Breath of the Wild, as it was bundled with the console, but the statistic is for non-bundled titles. The Switch has no bundled games, which I think which is a weird thing to me, that they didn't go with a bundle. I don't know. I don't know. Nintendo has made a big effort to push the Switch as it aired a commercial for the console during this year's Super Bowl and even recruited John Cena to promote it for some reason. Or the tweets from Wingfield, the NYT reporter, keep checking back with GameSpot for the latest on how the Switch is performing. Why John Cena? Is he more popular than I remember? Because like back when I was watching pro wrestling, I knew he was popular. Popular. I mean, he had some cool stuff. You can go if you want to go read these tweets. I'll kind of hold it while I talk wrestling for a second. I don't know. It's just it seems weird that they go with John Cena. I don't know. I don't remember him having still so much mass popularity. Nothing against John Cena, though. Moving on to the updates. The Nintendo Switch also did well in Europe over its launch weekend. According to MVC, the console sold, and I quote, more units in its launch weekend than any other piece of Nintendo hardware in the company's history, end quote. Like in the Americas, Breath of the Wild is now the best-selling Nintendo launch title in Europe ever for Nintendo. It even outsold Wii Sports, MCV said. Update number 2. In France, the Switch sold 105,000 units at launch, outpacing the Wii, according to Le Figaro, something like that. Nintendo Australia today stated in a press release that the Nintendo Switch also broke sales records in Australia and New Zealand, confirming that, and I quote, across Australia and New Zealand combined, Nintendo Switch sold more in its launch weekend than any other Nintendo hardware in history. Right there, though, I think that is something to note. he keeps saying breaking sales records, best in Nintendo hardware in history. That, I think, is a massive qualifier that we have to take into consideration when we talk about this. The fact that he's saying in Nintendo history, which is great. Do not get me wrong. I am not trying to disparage Nintendo, which it feels like I've been doing a lot, but I'm not trying to disparage Nintendo. I wish Nintendo success. The thing that I am saying is this. I want to see how we compare this to the opening week, to the opening weekend of the PS4. Or, well, yeah, I'll say PS4 just because PS4 is still selling the way that the PS4 sells. So I want to see that comparison to see how it stacks up. Because I still stand by it. I think the Switch is going to be, we are going to see a massive spike right at the beginning, and then it is going to fall near the end. Where the end is, I don't know if that's a couple months or a year, but I'll be doing my dance once the sales start to fall. And again, I don't want to say that's a dance at Nintendo's expense. That's a dance at the fact that I was right. I don't get that very often. Give it to me. Next article, Outlast 2 release date, announced series bundle coming next month by Michael Passalacqua, IGN. Outlast 2 will release on April 25th in North America and April 28th in the UK for PS4, Xbox One, and PC for $30 US. Warner Brothers Interactive and Red Barrels have announced. Releasing alongside Outlast 2 will be Outlast Trinity, a physical series bundle that includes the original Outlast, Outlast Whistleblower, and Outlast 2, which will only be available physically as part of the bundle. Outlast Trinity will be available for Xbox One and PS4 for $40 US. And I quote, "We've been lucky to have such an amazing fan base, and none of this would have been possible without their support," end quote, said Red Barrel's co-founder Philippe Morin. I'm terrible with names, guys. And I quote, "Ever since we released Outlast in 2013, a physical version has been one of the top requests, so we're obviously thrilled to finally give people the entire series in one bundle of terror." To help prepare yourself for Outlast 2, be sure to check out our blah, 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 normal IGN stuff. I've never been a fan of Outlast. It's not for me. I have seen the Let's Play of the first one, and it almost made me poo myself. So it is a very good horror game, very good suspense, and all that. It is not for me, though. But that does not mean it's not for everyone. So definitely go check it out if you're interested. Moving on. Naughty Dog, another Uncharted after the Lost Legacy is unlikely. Article by Kimberly Wallace of Game Informer. During a recent cover story trip for Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, we chatted with various members of Naughty Dog about its award-winning franchise. While at the studio, the team reiterated it is done with Nathan Drake, feeling it had wrapped up his story perfectly, and to open it back up would be a disservice to Uncharted 4. But is it done with the series, or is the Lost Legacy an attempt to see if it can be successful without Drake? Naughty Dog co-president... Well, actually, before I get into that, I want to say I think it can be, but I don't think they'd go with Chloe. Personally, what I think if they would do another Uncharted game, which I find it weird that they're saying it's unlikely, because I think that they left themselves wide open for a new Uncharted series, not with Nathan Drake, but with his daughter. I'm sorry, did I spoil the end of 4? It's been I think it's been about a year now. So I'm sorry, spoiler alert. Post spoiler alert, whatever. But no, I really think that Naughty Dog has a giant opening for a new Uncharted series, playing as Nathan Drake's daughter. I'm not sure. I don't think that would be a disservice to Uncharted 4. I think because Uncharted 4 was kind of like the love story, not the love story, but like the love letter and the nice conclusion to Nate's story. While I think his daughter could have her own entire set of adventures. Maybe Nate kind of take over that role that Sully had, kind of being the advisor and the old wisecracking old man. I said old too many times. Either way, moving on. Naughty Dog co-president Evan Wells is excited about the opportunity to dive into Chloe's story and return to a fan favorite in The Lost Legacy, but he insists that Naughty Dog doesn't have some grand plan to do Uncharted series or create more side stories with other characters. And I quote, "I would say that Naughty Dog Doing an Uncharted after this is unlikely, he says, and I quote, "I would never say never, but we've got The Last of Us Part 2 on our plates, and there's so much other stuff that we want to explore." It'd be hard if we magically had that 2-team, 3-team studio. Sure, it'd be it'd be great to keep doing it. We really love the franchise, but the studio has limited resources and lots of other ideas. I'd say the likelihood is low. End quote. There you have it. Another entry. Blah blah. Complete. Blah 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 blah. All that. But no, I stand by. I think. I would say at the moment, do not expect another Uncharted. And this is all entirely me sitting here in my apartment, trying to read the tea leaves here. But I would say at the moment, seeing one coming up in upcoming years would be very rare. It is very unlikely, just because we have the Lost Legacy. Mix that with, like I said, The Last of Us Part 2. Naughty Dog always seems to be kind of like a one-team game or a one-team studio where I probably just don't know enough of Naughty Dog's inner workings. I'm not a big studio nut who I just follow the studios and all that. But Naughty Dog is a great studio. They do a lot of really good work, and I kind of want them right now to throw all of their resources into finishing up The Lost Legacy and Last of Us Part 2, because I love the original The Last of Us, and I cannot wait to see what they do with that sequel. But to my broader point, I'm sorry, I'm making no sense. I just trying to follow myself is a challenge in and of its own. But I think in the long run, I don't think it's as unlikely as the guy said it was. That we'll see another Uncharted game, just because I think they left themselves wide open for the next generation. So there we go. There's my 2 cents. All right, based off of one of my favorite movies, new Reservoir Dogs game has been revealed by Javi Gwaltney. Hopefully that's how that's pronounced. Reservoir Dogs is a classic film filled with memorable dialogue, great performances, and lots of blood, which makes the name of the upcoming game adaptation of the movie Reservoir Dogs Bloody Days somewhat appropriate. The top-down Miami Hotline-inspired shooter is due out on PC and Xbox One in spring of 2017. If you want to see the game in action, you can do it with the teaser here. There's been another Reservoir Dogs game before, third-person shooter, that wasn't received by the public that well. Bloody Days is taking a different approach, developing mechanics and features that play on the film's flashback structure, letting players switch between 3 of the dogs in each mission, and allowing them to use a time rewind mechanic to help plan out tactical moves. Now, I have that original Reservoir Dogs game on the PlayStation 2, and while yes, it is not a phenomenal game, it's still kind of fun. Let's watch. All right, I know that was really short, but yeah, I think it's really cool. I never played Hotline Miami. I've heard a lot of people really liked it, but I love Reservoir Dogs. If you haven't seen the movie, go see it. It's a really good movie. I'm very interested to see. I might actually pick up that game and play it on the channel. That might be fun. Moving on, PAX East 2017, Telltale Games, The Walking Dead, A New Frontier, Episode 3, release date announced. Article by Jonathan Dornbush of IGN. The Walking Dead, the Telltale series, A New Frontier's third episode, Above the Law, will be released on March 28th. Telltale Games made the announcement during its PAX East 2017 panel today, revealing that the next episode in the third season will be arriving at the end of this month. A New Frontier took a different approach to its release, debuting the first 2 episodes at once when it launched in December. Alright, first off, that was the way they made it sound in the when they announced this, I want to say it was at the Game Awards last year that we saw something of it. I can't fully remember. But the way they first talked about it was that they, have 2 parts out at the beginning, that they were kind of both the parts of that it was like 2 halves of the first episode of the game. Well, no, it's just episodes 1 and 2. Personally, I felt a little ripped off about that because it felt like this was going to be I don't know. I love Telltale games. I thought there might have been like 6 parts to this series, although there would be like 5 episodes. I'm probably making no sense. The way that I thought it would work would be that it would be like episode 1, part 1, and episode 2, part 2. But no, it's just episode 1 and 2, and there are going to be 5 episodes. So there's another 3 left after the first 2 that are coming up, and after March 28th, it'll be another 2 parts. Hopefully that makes more sense. I felt a little ripped off on that, just saying. Instead of a full trailer, Telltale brought a clip from episode 3, exclusively shown to the PAX audience, that hinted at what's to come in the latest chapter. I'm not going to watch it, just because it's so, they're so narrative-based. We'll check it out on March 28th. A new frontier introduces players to new protagonist, Javi, and sees the return of Clementine, who starred in the first 2 seasons of Telltale's take on The Walking Dead. All this stuff. You can also go check out my Let's Play of the first 2 episodes on the channel. Moving on, Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 delayed again. Article by Evan Campbell of IGN. Now, this game really has interested me. I've seen some really neat stuff. I'm trying to remember where it takes place. It's like it seems like it's more of an open world kind of sniper game. Not what Sniper Elite 4 did, which was give you kind of a sandbox, but there are distinct levels and areas. Well, I think Sniper Ghost Warrior 3, god damn it, that's gonna get confusing. Has more is more of like a set open world. Let's read. Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 will miss its release date once more with a new planned arrival on April 25th. Developer CI Games wanted an extra 3 weeks to make tweaks based on the game's open beta. We've worked, and I quote, "We've worked tirelessly creating a whole new Sniper Ghost Warrior experience set in the ambitiously crafted world new to the series," unquote. CI Games CEO Marek Tyminski, something like that, said in a statement, and I quote, "While it's an unfortunate decision to delay the game one last time, we believe these final changes will result in a better experience for players worldwide on day 1, end quote. Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 was originally planned to launch in January before it was delayed to April 4th. So this isn't a massive delay. Again, it's tweaks and all that, but delays never shout out something good, in my opinion, especially when it's we're just going to push it back a few weeks. It always feels weird to me when we make that decision, so close to launch. It's just not saying it's going to make it bad, it's just me kind of going Alright, moving on. Now the final thing, we're going to be watching the official Shadow of War gameplay walkthrough. I have not seen this, so we'll be watching together. Let's just dive right in.
Shadow of War is an epic third-person open-world action RPG, and the sequel to the award-winning Shadow of Mordor. This walkthrough takes place many hours into the game, where we will show you one example of the epic, personal stories created through the next generation of the revolutionary Nemesis system. To save Middle-earth, we will be journeying deep behind enemy lines and using the new Ring of Power to forge an army and conquer Mordor from within. On the world map, we see the many regions we can conquer. Every one of these regions is a distinct environment with unique enemies and allies, including overlords, war chiefs, captains, followers, fortresses, strongholds, missions, and more. Today, we're going to attack and conquer the mountain valley of Saragost. and take it from Sauron's overlord, Ur-Hakon, the Dragon Lord.
All right, first off, I think this already here we're in something really cool, because I think this is like they're saying, it's the evolution of the first game, where I think this is a really step in the right direction after what we saw in the first Shadow of Mordor with the War Chiefs and that whole metagame. That honestly, I've sunk hours into just moving those War Chiefs and all that up and down. Yeah, it's such a cool thing. So, yeah. Sorry, let's go. Move on.
Let's launch the assault. It's not only our enemies and the world that make the Nemesis system unique, it's also our followers. Ragdug the Iron Mount has armored cavalry that can charge through the flames of artillery fire. The Demolisher is a living battering ram with the power to smash enemy defenses. With our followers at our side, we must first face the Stormbringer.
The bright Lord. I fought for you, bled for you, and you left me to die. But I was reborn with the power of the Dark Lord.
He has a history and personal grudge against us. He used to be part of our army before he betrayed us and joined the Dark Lord. He also carries a dark curse which prevents us from using the power of the new ring.
Come, charge into the flames of your reckoning. Ignite!
The Overlord has deployed multiple fort defenses, including siege beasts and flame archers.
No more talk! We bring war!
Our first objective will be to break through the main gate.
All right. Now I want to do a few just talk a little bit about this. One, we're seeing the all the shining. Sorry. We're seeing all of the Wraith is still with the Ranger, which is interesting because I thought during the trailer we saw that the Wraith got taken away. So I guess I was wrong. I thought the game was kind of going to be him trying to find the Wraith again. I find it interesting that he has the Ring of Power. That's going to be an interesting, see how that affects everything. Obviously, we're beginning into gameplay, and I'll shut up in just a second. I just want to talk about something real quick. That, like I said, maybe we'll see a little bit more. This seems like this is like it's adding a little bit more like RTS, like strategy game kind of aspects. I don't know the complete whether or not that's true, but we'll find out. It's just I'm giving my impressions as we go.
You feel it, don't you? This is the power of the Dark Lord. Yes. Yes. Come to me. Suffer me now!
Awesome!
With the Stormbringer defeated, we've broken the curse and can unleash our power as the Demolisher breaches the gate, allowing our army to storm the fort.
Gross. Oh, cool, you can do that moving now.
There are many ways to conquer a fort, from open combat to stealth and infiltration. We've infiltrated a spy within the enemy ranks. Deadeye has placed explosives, allowing us to sabotage the wall and outflank the defenders.
You could kill me that easily.
The spy is also able to help clear the way by sniping enemies. In Shadow of Mordor, the Nemesis system created memorable stories of bloodshed and revenge. In Shadow of War, your followers can create entirely new stories of loyalty, betrayal, rivalry, and even friendship.
All right, right there. This is a question that I've been sitting on for the past couple minutes, and it's how in depth is it this time? Because the Nemesis system is really in depth in the first game, made a really neat kind of like meta game. My big question here is exactly how deep is this? Are these characters more set, or is it like in the first one where you just kind of find them and you build them up and I'm trying to think how to explain this, or exactly explain what's in my head. My big question is exactly how much strategy goes into this. Is it just like you find a Demolisher and a this and a that and a that and that, or a sniper character and a this character and that character, or does it really matter? Like, are there how in depth are these skills? How in depth is infiltrating these places? Do you set it up in a pre-strategy meeting, or do you just storm the castle? Which I know I'm probably not going to get an answer until the game truly comes out, but I'm so interested in this system, and I cannot. I'm so fascinated right now. I'm sorry. I know I'm words. I know I'm just gushing. Keep going.
Thanks, Deadeye.
Nice shot.
We've expanded the RPG systems in Shadow of War enormously. Defeating Stormbringer allows us to collect this epic armor of Rohan and equip it.
Ranger! I am usually the forgiving soul, but Stormbringer, he was mine, and you've stolen my tail!
It's time to dance!
Mounting armored cavalry allows us to ride through these flames unharmed.
Again, that brings up my question. Do I get the armored cavalry because I brought in that because they brought in that one character who just happens to have armored cavalry? Or is it I always have access to it? This is my question. How deep does this like actual strategy and planning for multiple contingencies like really get into? It's just like how randomized is it? Like these forts, like with all these traps. This is going to be either really cool or it's not going to pan out. And I'm sorry. I'm basically just live going through my thoughts. Sorry.
Releasing and dominating the Drake lets us turn the Overlord's defenses against him. You've terrified the Flame of War. Now bend him to your will. The Ring of Power allows us to dominate the minds of our enemies,
I am yours,
compelling them to join our growing army. Now, with the power of the new ring and the help of our followers, we've defeated the War Chiefs. We can face our ultimate nemesis in this fort, the Dragon Lord himself.
It's time to take what is ours.
With the Nemesis system, every Overlord faced by every player will be unique to their world, and the throne room itself has been customized by the Overlord as his personal combat arena.
And there we go. We have the answer to my question, that it is randomized. It will be unique, which I think is going to really make this game, really kind of set the replay value of this game. Again, I think this is such an interesting concept, and that I really want to see how in depth the Nemesis system goes, and if it's what I think it is, it's really giving me a very big kind of like a strategy game concept, even more so than what the first game had. I am so interested here. I had another thought real quick, and I can't remember what it was.
It's the Lord of Mordor himself, the Grave Walker. You've made a right mess, haven't you? My army slain, my Drake dead. So much pain. Well, I know a thing or two about pain. And yours, it's going to burn a hole into this world.
I'm sorry, I just remember what my thought was. My question is, if this is shown, if it's trying to be more cinematic than the game is actually going to be when it comes out, that is another big question I'm having here, is because this looks really cool and big and cinematic, but my question is exactly how much is there that could go wrong, or how much... I'm trying to explain this in a way that makes sense. My question is, how much variety is there? How much actually spontaneity, or are these these forts almost planned out, where it's like I said, it's the cinematic? That is a big question of mine right now. That I don't think I'm going to get this answer until I play the game this August, I believe. I can't find a release date.
Let me show you how it's done. This might hurt.
Oh, see right there, that's what I'm talking about. That was extremely cinematic. My question is, how much of this game is cinematic? Is that determined to always happen, or or did they call something? Because it looked like they called in that attack. That's what I'm talking about. My question is it just that cool and it looks cinematic, even though it's kind of random, or is it really planned out? That's what I'm trying to get at.
With the Overlord defeated, Fort Saragost and this region of Mordor are ours. Conquering the region rewards us with experience, loot, new followers, and resources. It also creates a personal base from which we train our forces, increase our power, and upgrade our defenses against Sauron's counterattacks. Let's return to the army screen, where we can review our enemies and command our followers. We need to select one to become the new Overlord, so he can spread his influence throughout the region, creating an entirely original Nemesis fortress. This war chief is a necromancer. He will shroud the fort in sorcery to confuse and terrify attackers. This war chief is a beastmaster. He will allow us to turn the creatures of Mordor against our enemies. But we're going to promote Ragdug, the war chief who charged through that artillery assault and helped us bring down Ord-Hakon, the Dragon Lord. As a marauder, he can loot and pillage the region for us. With our new Overlord in place, we can upgrade the fortress, increasing its defenses and enlarging the size and power of our army.
Here, brothers!
The Nemesis system means that every element of this mission was dynamic and unique. No two players of the game will experience the same story.
We will spread his power!
Right there, answer to my question. And also when we got to look at that army screen right there, I think that explains it exactly. And I know I could have just waited. If I don't talk about this now, I'm going to forget. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It looks so much more like a strategy game mixed with the action RPG. And then I just got that answer to that question, that it's more dynamic and unique, or to use their words, dynamic and unique. I am so much more sold on this game than I was. I was kind of lukewarm on it. Like, I loved Shadow of Mordor, but this almost seems like a new game in its own right. I mean, I'm seeing the groundwork that was laid by Shadow of Mordor, but I'm almost seeing a brand new thing. Sorry, hiccup. I'm seeing almost a brand new thing in this game. I'm so much more interested now than I was.
This was just one step in our conquest of Mordor. One small example of the millions of unique stories players will create in Middle-earth: Shadow of War.
For the Bright Lord.
August 22nd, everybody. That is when this Let's Play for this game will be starting. Will I be playing on Xbox? Is this an Xbox exclusive? No, okay, it's on PlayStation 4 as well. Extremely excited. This has really made me this has really kind of drawn me in even more than I thought it would. Just, wow. Very excited for Shadow of War. August 22nd, guys. Like I said, come back for to the channel on that. Well, obviously come back to the channel before that, but there will be a Let's Play for this game when it comes out. And that's going to about do it for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Always remember that Facebook, Twitter, the website is down in the description below. Remember to like, comment. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more next time. And next time, the show will be up on the actual time at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. But until then, guys, I am AJ Gels. This is the Untitled Gaming Channel. Thank you so much for watching. Go check out some of the other stuff on the channel now that you're here. And I'm out.